Hi, well, good morning. Welcome to today's adventure. We are in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. I'm here for the day on a day trip, do quick arming tours. I'll talk more about them later. I'll leave the link down below. But we're going to explore Pottsville a little bit. I've been to Pottsville before, but none of these three attractions. So we're going to start off with a tour of the Yuengling Brewery. Is the oldest brewery in the country, and then we're going to do the Pioneer Coal Mine tour, and then we're going to end the day at Jerry's Automobile Museum. So it should be a great day of exploring Pottsville. But we just got here. I'm at the gift shop. There is my tour. Was Yuengling Brewery here. We have all sorts of old-timey stuff, but we'll explore more of this later. So let's go start this wonderful tour of Pottsville at the brewery. Let's go see how beer is made. Breweries in 1829. National Register of Historic Places.
1829 here in Pottsville. We have about 40 employees here and across the street, and we can produce up to 600,000 barrels a year out of this working brewery. In order to be America's oldest brewery, we have to be a functioning working brewery, not just a museum, okay? About the year 2000, we built a state-of-the-art facility about a mile away from here. Our 100-plus employees also considered our corporate office capable of 1.8 million barrels a year. That was not to the year 2000. This is the original prohibition wall still standing here today from 1920. Now listen, we'll have to keep up, all you photographers, that's fine as long as you keep up with the tour. Feel free to take pictures as you're speaking to me, but we're going to go on in. This is the original prohibition wall. It was sealed all the way. You weren't able to penetrate this for 14 years. We're going to end up going all the way around, so I'll show you the other area and the other prohibition wall. So this is where they were storing the natural refrigerant. So if you continue on, that means that wall right there. Just stay right there. Don't make a turn. This way. So this is the original prohibition wall.
Man, so these are the original caves back in Prohibition when they walled off this whole complex. So pretty tough.
It takes you up to street level. You're able to access the cave from street level. At the top of that cistern at the top of that stairwell is a cistern, kind of like a water holding tank, if you will. And as I mentioned earlier, 10 blocks up is a natural spring water source. And you spring that water down the mountain, store it in that tank, that cistern up there, pull a rope release a valve. That's how they brought that fresh spring water in to make the beer. Now we no longer use that, of course, but that does go up to street level. There's another ladder here, so everyone watch this footing here.
Going
This
in
is the employee lunchroom. What do you think? It looks like a bar?
Yeah. Definitely a bar. Yeah.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This is cool. 9, 10, 11. Watch your step here.
This was the
employee lunchroom. Next to the church. This is the end of the. This is the end of the Yuengling estate. This is the end of the Yuengling estate on this side. That brick wall in front of the church's window, which makes this the original confession booth right here. This used to be our tasting room, and our gift shop was right next door until we refurbished that. There's a couple things that's going on here. Prohibition happened in 1920, but in 1913, the New York World predicted that if Prohibition happened, this is what would happen. So this was a prediction. We sell these posters for $2 across the street. That's a prediction of what would happen if Prohibition happened. Prohibition was 1920, 1913, that was the prediction.
How long was lunch?
You know, you break the drink. I hear there's beer taps in the front of the building. Bring it up to max power. This is the Westinghouse Electric and Manufacturing Company from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, when Pittsburgh did not have an H on the end. There's a time in history they were removing the H's from the verbs. I understand it was after the war, that's German sounding. There's a lot of German influence around here. Pittsburgh got their H back. I'm from Orangeburg, used to have an H, but that's the story on that. So this is the warmest part. This is where people are pretty uncomfortable. Okay, so this is where it all happens, guys. This is the brew house. We take their done for the day. They start sometimes very early in the morning if it's going to be hot. There's 5 pedals in all. 5 pedals. Take 8 to 10 hours to get through one brew. Everything starts in that right rear pedal. Moves on to the left. The pedal you can't see underneath our fingers are on this pedal. And that's where that's kind of filter. And then this is the brew pedal. 450 barrels to a brew. One brew is 450 barrels. Hey, are you all done for the day? No cooking today. No cooking today.
Nope. Just clean.
Clean day. Wow. Behind that door is a meter. And for every 31 gallon barrel of beer that's mandatory to pass through the meter on the other side of that door. Get a both way, of course, not just bottle here. Then for every 31 gallon barrel of beer that's mandatory to pass through the meter on the other side of that door. The federal government taxes us $18. State taxes us $3. Our business goes across town a half mile and takes all these over there for distribution, not here. Like, look at that wall. That's it. Watch the wheels there. They're going to be off the ground. Off the ground.
Wow.
And clear this building right here. And the truck is full of black guys. and we complain about parking, huh? Now the guy who did this every day for 40 years, he's rolling like a Cadillac. And he's a new guy.
best part of the tour, the taste test. Let's go. Alright, so I went with the mango and the Oktoberfest. So let's try this out. Get a lot of true samples. Oh yeah, it's good stuff. So, enjoy these. And then mango. And then we're going to move on to our next stop in Pottsville. Drinking before lunchtime, don't joke. But the Oktoberfest is good, and the mango beer is fantastic. I've never had the Yuengling mango, but very good, very, very good. So, cheers. I just got done with the tastings. We're going to check out the museum for a little bit here. I got a little time before my my bus leaves for the next stop, so we'll walk around here for a little bit. Right here is the Yuengling family tree. So of course, David G Yuengling he found originally called the Eagle Brewery in 1829. He was in a German immigrant, and then Frederick Yuengling, and then the current leader, which is Richard Yuengling Jr., and then the sixth generation, you can see they all women. So once Richard retires, the women will be running the company, which is great. So a little bit of the family tree of Yuengling. You can pause that and read that if you want. So all the different Yuengling signs here through the years. So they're in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. So the factory tour was awesome. Got a lot of good history from the other thing. They talked a lot about prohibition, and the caves were awesome. That's probably my favorite part. That's where they originally made the beer in the caves, because it's a natural 42 degrees down there year round. And they started doing prohibition. They totally walled off that area, so they couldn't get to the beer. So, and then we took a tour of the factory, saw that, and now we're had a nice sample. So very fascinating stuff. I definitely recommend it. I said I'm on a tour for Cookie Omen. If you're in eastern Pennsylvania, well, mainly Lehigh, Northampton, and Bucks County. They're based out of Pennsburg, and they offer one-day tours, multi-day trips. So I've been taking a lot of tours. There's another one in October, which mine. This is all about Pottsville today. So we're going to go to some great locations in Pottsville later. They also mentioned during Prohibition, you can only drink beer for medicinal purposes, and that would be the porter, and need a prescription to have that. So if you weren't feeling well, you go to a doctor and get a prescription for porter beer, and you can drink the porter. So that's so they had, and they also put beer into ice cream too. Ice cream flavored beer. They stopped doing that in the 80s because they just couldn't afford two places. So fascinating history here. I definitely recommend if you're ever in Pottsville, Pennsylvania, to take the tour. This is the oldest operating brewery in the United States. So definitely take the tour.